motherfucker.
Yo, it's me. I'm back. It's the guy that you can't tell whether he's pro or anti-Chinese. Yeah, no, I'm back. I'm back for a little bit. College was kind of kicking my ass, so I had to lock in and actually like get to work and do stuff, which I know is surprising. But we're back, and I've got a little bit of a mid-ground here that I'm going to be trying out for a little bit. It's sort of this, I'm not going to say low effort. It's low effort. It's this low effort content. It's going to be free form, not scripted. And that's going to be a way to just tide over between the bigger video projects, because they take a little while to get done. I think the first part is that I have to have an actual blog post ready, and those are upwards of like 8 to 10,000 words for the bigger ones. 5 to 4 for the smaller ones. So they're like, if you go subscribe to my blog, you actually get like a lot of free content. So go subscribe to my blog. But this is like a nice mid-ground, I feel, between the blog stuff and the longer form video essays, because it will let me freely talk to you guys, and it'll be easier for me to produce, which I think is the main thing. It's gonna be less scripted. I already said that, and we're trialing it out. We're gonna see how it works. If it's shit, it's shit, and I'm not going to do it again. That being said, what are we talking about today? Any of you guys read Spiked magazine? No, right? I definitely don't. But, you know, every so often, you just come across an article by happenstance, and you think, fuck, man, I gotta click on that because of the title. I saw an article in Spike. It was around the 2023 time, and I'm only now getting to talk to it. But I saw an article in Spiked that was talking about the worst year Marvel had at the box office, 2023. And the article was entitled Marvel Go Broke. Well, no. Fuck, what was it? Marvel Go Woke or Go Broke. That's it. And it was about how the downfall of modern Marvel movies comes in their identity politics and their, the fact that they have women in their movies, which, how are you gonna allow that, Marvel? Come on. That's sarcastic, by the way. Wait, hold on. We'll get really close for a signature burp for you guys. But yeah, this notion that Marvel has only gone political in 2023 really kind of pissed me off, because it just shows that people don't actually think critically about what they watch, or even like think about it at all. Like Marvel, I hate to tell people this, Marvel has always been political. All superheroes are political. That's kind of the point, is that they're like a fictionalized way of addressing these real issues. So the notion that, oh, Marvel went dead because it went woke, it's like, no, it's always been like political, you know? And so we're going to quantify that today. We're going to be looking at all of the pre-MCU movies, because not pre-MCU, we're going to be looking at all of the pre-Endgame movies. Because after the Endgame, I really kind of checked out on all this shit. Like, not to say that I didn't keep watching, but I didn't watch 100 TV shows and 6,000 movies and play, like, a fucking video game or whatever, you know? Like, I didn't do that. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be looking at all of the pre-Endgame movies, and we're going to be judging them from woke to not woke. And we're going to see exactly how woke Marvel used to be, and why saying that Marvel went bad or went down the drain because they went woke is just ridiculous. Talking about woke, we're going to put this in. Addressing how woke these movies are is actually like addressing how real woke they are, about how they address actual liberal issues through their subtext. Not about how on the surface woke they are, because that would defeat the point of making a list, because it'd be Captain Marvel, Black Panther #1, and then the rest of the fucking movies. Because all of the other movies, I think, require a degree of subtext to get to their work. So the way that we're talking about them is about how actually these issues of like post-colonialism, identity, warmongering, military-industrial complex are addressed through subtext, and how actually woke those movies are. So here we have our tier list in part, because for some reason it's not letting me scroll correctly. But here we have our tier list. We have obviously the wokest tier, pronouns in bio. And then Hillary Clinton, leaning liberal, bland, anti-woke. And this bottom tier here is just haven't seen. It's just if I haven't seen one of the movies. Oh, do I do it by superhero or do I do it chronologically? We do it by superhero. We do it by superhero. I'm going to do it by superhero in the Avengers.
And so I threw a party, and I really party until Brody came in, kicked my ass, and stole my suit. And now the Russian guy has drones, and I'm pretty much all alone. Since Pepper abandoned me, Brody's the war.
So, some of you might see where this is going when I've talked about how Marvel was woke pre, like, the Marvels or Captain Marvel or Black Panther or whatever. And the reason why I say that is because Iron Man is the wokest superhero of all time. And it really shows how, like, obstinate you have to be with political messaging for people to say that you've gone woke. Because Iron Man as a movie is, like, ridiculously liberal. If you think about it, especially the first and the third one. The third one, unbelievably. We'll get to that, though. If you remember correctly, Iron Man is about a white capitalist warmonger getting hoisted by his own petard in the Middle East, in a region that's very clearly a reference to Afghanistan, and then denouncing war proliferation and wartime economy and switching for peacetime, and he has a mole inside of his company. It's very much a metaphor for interventionist, like, US military in the Middle East, and how that eventually comes back to your shores. And it was made a good amount after 9/11, but it definitely holds some of that fear for the domestic war on terrorism, and how if you act as an aggressor in overseas countries, that will eventually come back to you, and in the form of, you know, however, whatever, largely Iron Man represents through, like, violence. That is a subtextual understanding of the movie, because in the actual... No, it's not even subtextual. That is actually what happens in the movie. That is the textual reality of the movie. Subtextually, you can infer that it's about the war on terror, etc. Just in how the movie is, it's about Iron Man going to fight terrorists. The way that these, like, foreign acts of aggression are critiqued and just represented as altogether harmful through them coming back to, you know, cripple Iron Man for life, basically. Like, that's the arc reactor, until he fucking gets rid of it for nanobots in Infinity War. The arc reactor serves as like a really permanent reminder of, like, the horrors of war, and how that as a domestic proliferator of stuff like that, you're not really affected to it until you're brought to reality. But for those other people, for the people in the Ten Rings, that was their daily reality. So Iron Man 1 is without a doubt... Oh, where do I put it? Where do I put it? I think I'm going to put the first Iron Man into Hillary Clinton tier. Definitely. Hillary Clinton tier, without a doubt. It's pretty woke, so it's going to go there. I need a fucking fat refresher on a lot of these movies. Okay, I've just done a 5-minute refresher on what Iron Man 2 was about, and I'm gonna safely conclude, less woke than the first one. Definitely less woke than the first one, which is probably why people like it less. There's definitely some things in here that old boomers would call woke, right? Like Black Widow's introduction, and Pepper Potts becoming like a CEO. They'd be like, oh, girl boss, they're shoving it down our throats having these women in power. I actually remember very specifically watching Iron Man 2 with someone who was less than liberal. And they made the critique that it was unrealistic for Black Widow to take down a battalion of armed guards in that movie. I remember that, because the armed guards were men. I remember that conversation very vividly. And the thing that gets me about that, right, is that it's also fiction. Like, unrealistic and and non-real are two different things. It would be unrealistic for Black Widow to take down a hallway of armed men if she was portrayed in universe as weak and decrepit and unable to fight properly. But literally in her first scene, if I remember correctly, she like beats the shit out of Happy Hogan and like kicks his ass. So it's like that's actually, number one, good development. Number two, it is realistic to the movie because they set her up as a fact that she can do that. It doesn't break the internal rules of the movie. Is it analogous to real life? Maybe not, but then you have to say that about the fact that he's a metal man with laser beams. So either way, it doesn't make any sense. He does want to keep the Iron Man suit private, which he changes up on later, definitely. But he's all about privatizing the Iron Man suit. Very, very libertarian of him, very anti-government of him, very not woke Tony. So for that reason, I think I'm going to give it a little bit lower than the first Iron Man, definitely. I do not think it is as woke as the first Iron Man. It still holds a lot of the same, like anti-war assessment of the military-industrial complex. It still has a lot of that, but it's definitely less woke than the first Iron Man. So yeah, Iron Man 2, less woke than the first one, definitely. Oh, that was a good one. Now we come to the impetus for this whole sort of video, which was Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is woke as hell. Iron Man 3 is liberal as hell. Iron Man 3 is probably, by my money, the most woke for like phase 1 and 2 MCU movie. Like, without a doubt. Iron Man 3, again, it's Iron Man, so it's about foreign interventionism in the military and how Iron Man grapples, with a lot of these facts. Not only that, the villain is a metaphor for how fear-mongering is done through, or how the fear-mongering is extrapolated to minority races, when it's actually the direct cause of normal, like, Western war profiteering. So, there's a great clip on the Escape podcast of this, where they talk about the Mandarin change. Number one, alright, let's address it like this. Number one, the Mandarin is based on, and also then a direct comment on, the very, very, very racist depiction of him in the comics. The comic book Mandarin is a horrid depiction of an Asian person. He's based on Fu Manchu, which is a yellow peril literary figure that is just the worst depiction of an Asian person you could ever imagine. Just picture a stereotype of like a Chinese person if you're a racist, and then that's Fu Manchu. Ironically, very iconic, the Fu Manchu look, but so having the Mandarin be a transformation of that in the movie is already addressing this kind of past that the comic book shares, and is a form of revisionism on that. So that's woke, number one. And then number two, the Mandarin is a really good illustration of how the villain in that movie... I fucking forget who the villain is, by the way, because it's so forgettable. That's kind of the point. The villain, the fire guy, kind of props him up as the fear-mongering because he is a person of, like, a non-white person. And it shows that, like, it's indicative of this kind of, like, fear and racial tension that is brought about by painting certain nations and, like, aggressing certain Middle East and Central Asian nations. And about, especially as a metaphor for, like, how Muslim people are treated in America. Roll the Escape podcast clip about the change in the Mandarin, because that's the funniest fucking clip I've ever seen in my life.
So many changes that they make in the MCU that I don't like because you're taking something away from a comics character that I like, and it's bad.
Name one.
The Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Oh, no, I love the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Why?
I think, well, this is, first of all, you're not a fan of the Mandarin. No one's a fan of the Mandarin of the comics. Name one Mandarin comic you've read.
Sure.
Right.
Because everyone, this is what happened, this is my hypothesis, I'm gonna get really mad about this now. No one actually has a fucking original thought about these movies. Everyone said Iron Man 3 is bad, Iron Man 3 is bad, because one fucking, like, I think it was Red Letter Media or something, one Red Letter Media review in, like, the 2010s was like, I think the Mandarin change is bad because they set him up as a big villain, and then, because he's a big villain in the comics, and then they change it. And it was like, and then they change it, and they change it. Obama. Cut that out. But and everyone fucking repeated that. No one knows what the Mandarin is. Guaranteed until Shang-Chi. If you say the Mandarin, people think of the Iron Man 3 villain. You say the Mandarin again, people think of the Shang-Chi villain, and then they think of the comic book Mandarin. But, so no one actually knew what the Mandarin was. Everyone just repeated this one fucking point from this Red Letter Media thing. I've always been a big Iron Man 3 defender. I love Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is probably one of my favorite Marvel movies. So, for all of those reasons that we've mentioned, Iron Man 3 is our first pronouns in bio movie. I don't think that's surprising at all based on what I've said. Iron Man 3 absolutely goes pronouns in bio. Iron Man 3 has he, him written all over it, bro. Okay, who's up next? Thor. We'll do Thor. Thor's pretty easy from what I remember. Let me check that though.
Stripped of powers, banished to earth, hilarity ensues. I get arrested by S.H.I.E.L.D. and I fall in love with a Jew.
Alright, what do we think of Thor? We're gonna have to fucking move a little bit quicker, because I've just realized that this has been recording for a hot minute, and we're only 3 movies in. Okay, we're gonna go really quickly through Thor 1 and 2 especially. We'll go through Thor 1 and 2, we'll come back to Thor later, because Thor 1 and 2 are both gonna get the same rating. There's not much woke in there. Not much woke. There's definitely a little bit, tad little bit, because a lot of the movie is focused around sort of dismantling the ego that Thor has, and having him come to terms with his new life, which one could interpret as comments on, like, masculinity. But in reality, these movies are just kind of shit. Just trying to think about Loki. Nah, look, we're gonna bang these out 1 and 2. Thor 1, where are you? Thor 1, bland. Thor 2, bland. I genuinely do not remember, like, actually much being in these movies in the way of, like, being woke.
Then back in New York, I found my girlfriend. I destroyed a helicopter. And then this guy got jealous of me. Deja vu. And then he became a muscly freak too. Kinda wish I had killed him.
The Hulk. What do we think about the Hulk? I think the Hulk definitely gets a couple more brownie points than Thor, because it's very anti-military. In a lot of ways, it's very anti-military. The Hulk tries to avoid the military for the whole movie. Again, I don't really remember the Hulk that much. I think definitely the anti-war stuff and Hulk being like a humanitarian at the end that goes to, like, be a doctor in a third world country. Very woke of me using that term. I think that definitely earns it more brownie points than Thor, but I think it's still gonna stay. I think it's around Iron Man 2 level. I think they're probably about the same. So we'll chuck it. We'll let me grab my scene up. Yeah, we'll put it right there. We'll put it right around Iron Man 2 level, and yeah, we'll move on, because there's only one Hulk movie, so that's our job done.
Just because I have a few health difficulties, so to save myself the embarrassment, I partake in a dangerous experiment that gives me biceps, pecs, and abs.
Captain America. I love Captain America. I really love Captain America. The first movie is not woke at all. It's very pro-military. Which, considering it was set in the fucking 1930s and they were fighting Hitler, I understand. It's not going to go in anti-woke because having Agent Carter, there's a lot of girl boss moments with Agent Carter, but she is, like, as much as she is a strong woman, she also does exist in the movie in relation to Steve Rogers. There will be a lot more wokeness in the Captain America movies coming up. I mean, he does kind of recognize the propaganda tool, like, that he is, but then he just goes and fights on the front line. So for now, like, let's call it easy, like it is. The first Captain America movie is not here. Captain America: The First Avenger. Here we go. Captain America: The First Avenger is going in the bland tier. It's going in the bland tier. This is our tier list so far. Captain America 2 is woke as hell. Captain America 2 is really woke. This is where we start to see a lot more of the anti-fascist sort of internal spirit of Captain America develop and take place in relation to his own government. Because the first movie was very easy, very cut and dry. Captain America's anti-fascist, therefore he's anti-Hitler, obviously. However, he does, throughout the second movie, realize that S.H.I.E.L.D. might be on the wrong side. And that his loyalties that, you know, he developed just because he was an American military man when he woke up might have been misplaced. Captain America, in this movie, takes an anti-government stance, which is crazy. It's wild. He does, though. He does. He opposes what S.H.I.E.L.D's doing, and there's a lot about security and the price of freedom, etc., which is, which you wouldn't really call woke, like, a while ago, but now, with the fucking crackdowns on deportation and, like, what is the price of freedom, Captain America does sort of stand in that opposition to anti-government power, which we see a lot under the Trump administration. So, under the developing definition of woke, so here's what I'll say. Not under the developing definition, Captain America Winter Soldier's woke because he undercuts American ideals. Or what is perceived as American ideals. And the reason this is important is because this is fundamentally Captain America. A lot of the times in the comics, they will pit Captain America against the American nation. Because he's not he is a patriot. He's the biggest patriot. He's not a nationalist, right? Captain America is like very anti-fascist and very okay with disagreeing with the government when he thinks they've done the wrong thing. For those people that just like watch the movie and assume that Captain America would be like a Republican or whatever because he's like so pro-America, that's not true at all. And roll the montage while I'm talking. Roll the montage. There's hundreds of fucking comic panels, including what might be. I have to think about this. Maybe top 3, definitely, but maybe my favorite comic book panel ever, which is I'm loyal to nothing except the dream. That's what this movie is. It's about that comic book panel, really. Because Captain America and the Hydra infiltration into S.H.I.E.L.D. is representative of that brand of fascism coming into the American government. So, yeah, I would say, you know what? I think we're going to have our next winner here. Captain America Winter Soldier. Boom. You're going to go all the way up here with Iron Man 3. Civil War, yeah, Civil War echoes a lot of the same things, I think. And this is where we actually see our two ideals clash, right? In the restriction of the Avengers and the possibility for the government to use the Avengers for tyranny if they're restricted, versus the price of the Avengers being free is maybe them making mistakes and operating as a political entity. Here's the thing, regardless of which of those two ideals, Captain America or Iron Man's, you think is right, the movie's woke because it has a fucking overt political dialogue about how military weapons should be regulated, or like etc. etc. So instantly the movie's fucking woke, right? There's no dialogue about that, because here's the thing, people when they say woke, I should clarify why I think Captain America's woke, despite the fact that his views are very libertarian. Because people don't actually know what woke is. People say it's woke leftist policies or whatever, but it's really just politics being in a movie, is what they think woke is. Like, outwardly being in a movie. Like, Transformers is not woke, because it doesn't challenge their ideal in any way, right? Captain America does. For a lot of Trump nationalists, I would feel. They would say Captain America, the old ones, upon rewatch, would be woke, if they understood the subtext. The reason I'm going to say this movie is woke is because it inherently presents a binary dialogue, which means you got to pick a side on that, you know? It challenges you to think about these things, you know? And also, Black Widow fights someone in there, so you count it up, put another point in the, unrealistic woman beats up a guy point. That's woke. Yeah, I think again, pro-criminal as well, harboring Bucky, rehabilitating Bucky, who becomes a recurring character. Pro-criminal, very woke, very pro-criminal. The War Machine coming to terms with his injury and actually being paralyzed and being differently able, that's woke. He's on screen, that's woke. Am I forgetting anything? Hold on, let me check. Yeah, what I will say is that I'm gonna put it lower than Captain America Winter Soldier, because Captain America Winter Soldier is blatantly, like, Antifa. It's anti-fascist. Yeah, I'm gonna put it lower than Captain America, because it's blatantly, like, anti-fascist. Definitely. Whereas Captain America has... whereas Civil War has, like, a dialogue between the two. So I think it's gonna go lower, but it's definitely still Hillary Clinton tier. Like, I think definitely Civil War is Hillary Clinton tier. I think the fact that it presents a challenging political dialogue would, I think, for a lot of people, render it woke. If they understood the subtext. Okay, hold up. I've just realized this now, in the midst of recording this, but I haven't actually given a definition for what I'm going to be using as woke. When people say woke in movies, they don't actually mean what woke is. They mean any political ideology that challenges them when they watch the movie. So, the best example I can give of this is that anti-American rhetoric, even if it is libertarian, can be construed as woke in some of these movies, which we'll get to. Oh yeah, make sure to put this at the beginning, by the way. So that's what I'm using as woke, is basically any sort of liberal/leftist policy that is subtext, that if someone knew, like, critically thought about the film, or knew about it going in, would say that it's woke. Someone on the right, by the way. So yeah, if your average MAGA patron was watching Captain America and you told them these facts, would they go like, oh, now that's woke, you know? So that's how I'm judging it. If your average MAGA person, upon knowing it, would think it's woke. Let's get back to the list. Should we do Captain Marvel now? Yeah. I have a lot to say about Captain Marvel. This is the thing I hear a lot, is that Captain Marvel failed because Captain Marvel was woke. It was a woke movie. This is not true. Captain Marvel failed because Captain Marvel is a fucking insufferable character. Even in the comics. Captain Marvel sucks. She genuinely is the fucking worst. The movie did not fail because Captain Marvel was woke. The movie failed because no one likes Captain Marvel. The movie is shittily written, also. That should be noted. It, like, regardless of the woke... oh, fuck. I nearly said woke seriously in that sentence. By the way, the whole video, it's been used ironically. Regardless of what you think about the... Yeah, not only that. Captain Marvel is not only bad because the source material sucks. Captain Marvel's also bad because the press tour going up to it was a fucking charade. A farce. It really was. They did Brie Larson so dirty. Like, actually, if you go back and look at those interviews and some of the stuff that she was saying, it's like, wow, the way that this was framed as a movie was set up to fail. Brie Larson, by the way, is a good actress. I liked her as Envy Adams in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, despite the fact I fucking hated that movie. But the source material for that's a lot better than Captain Marvel anyway. Alright, so let's actually get into what I thought about the movie, huh? How about that? How about I fucking do that in the video? How about that? So, here's what I'm going to address. Having a woman in your movie and having the movie be about, like, female empowerment is actually doesn't equate to a bad movie, right? Okay, obviously, for people out there who are normal. Secondly, did the movie beat you over the head with it? A little bit, but you guys weren't fucking getting it when the movies were subtle about it. Obviously. Jesus, as we've established. When the movies were subtle about it, like Iron Man, you weren't fucking getting it. So, obviously they're a little bit more... like getting in there. So, the reason why people tend not to like Brie Larson... and Captain Marvel by extension is because of a couple comments that were made. Wow. Get the fucking... Don't zoom in on that fucking dent I made in my head, Jesus. The reason why people tend to not like Brie Larson and by extension Captain Marvel is because of a couple comments and controversies surrounding the movie before it came out. Namely, some things Brie Larson said about Marvel fans, which... it, like, wasn't that bad. Brie Larson made a couple comments, about, number one, how women and writers of color didn't really have an into the junket of writing. They didn't really have any, door to come in. And how she wanted to use Captain Marvel as a vehicle for that, and, sort of increase the percentage of those people in her writer's room. And then secondly, I think that the main comment that pissed people off was this one. I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. Yeah, that's like kind of not a good marketing strategy when all of the movies are for fat, sweaty white dudes. Like, that's gonna isolate your demographic. But that in itself is not the crux of the issue. It's the more of the other stuff that she was saying is where it gets bad. Because you can have a problem with her attitude about that and isolating her demographic, but at the end of the day, that's her prerogative, right? She made a bunch of money for the movie. And to be fair, like, people go like, oh, that comment's so bad, and then they go, well, I fucking hated Captain Marvel because it was about female empowerment. Like, she was right at the end of the day. For those guys that, like, didn't comment on stuff like that, the movie obviously wasn't made for them because they didn't like it. That being said, I find it interesting, the response to her comments, in light of... That being said, I think it's really interesting to just see how much a likable personality will get you in the terms of being woke. Rosa Salazar, the actress who was the model and did a lot of the voice work for Alita Battle Angel, actually said a number of the same things that Brie Larson did, but about the Latinx community rather than the female community, and about how about creating more Latina spaces in movies, getting more of them in the writers' room. As I have a fucking indigestion and want to kill myself, etc. Alita Battle Angel, like, under the surface, is a way fucking woker movie than Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's woke because it's very obstinate about its issues, but Alita Battle Angel, through symbolism, she, like, in actuality, is a huge metaphor for female agency, because she, I look like a fat fucking movie reviewer sat back here. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about top worst Marvel movies. Number 1 is Captain Marvel. it has a lot of feminist symbolism in Alita Battle Angel if you actually look at the movie, and I talk about that in my blog article, as well as a lot of other stuff about Captain Marvel. Go read the blog. Anyway, all of this is to say is that Captain Marvel is like a woke movie, right? There's a lot of scenes of like girl boss men being put in their place. It's very on the nose, a lot of what the movie talks about. So it is going to go in the top tier. But I just want it to be known that the movie wasn't bad because it was woke. The movie was bad because Captain Marvel is a fucking insufferable piece of shit. Let's grab our Captain Marvel. Boom. And you know what? While we're here, I'm going to specify this. I talk a lot more about both of these movies specifically on the blog. So please go check them out. Black Panther's going up there too. Because people think it's woke because it has black people in it, and it talks about the African American experience in America, and obviously that's not good if it's a critique of America, which all of these like fucking movies are, by the way. Just so you know, we've gone through Iron Man 1, 2, 3, Captain America 1, 2, 3, The Hulk, and Captain Marvel, Black Panther, all of them critiques of America so far. The only one that hasn't been is Thor, from what I remember as well. So Black Panther can definitely go. Black Panther can definitely get it. Black Panther goes up the top. Love Black Panther. That movie, by the way, I talk about this more on my blog. Killmonger is my favorite Marvel villain of all time. MCU villain, I mean. Killmonger is the fucking best. If you haven't watched that movie, go back and watch that movie again. Killmonger is the fucking shit. You have to sit through like 40 minutes of all of the Wakandan characters being fucking terrible. But Killmonger is the shit, bro.
Shut up. Make your opening arguments to the jury.
All right. Where the hell is the jury?
Making jury duty.
What?
Alright, let's talk about Ant-Man. Ant-Man is a very weird case for me. Because there are elements of woke in it. Let's be real. Ant-Man is a criminal. Ant-Man gets rehabilitated and given a second chance. Ant-Man's friends are criminals. They get rehabilitated and given a second chance. The guy has an auntie that gets deported. It's a critique of the job market and how hard it is for criminals to get a job. Right? He has to fucking work at Baskin Robbins and he gets fired from there also. Which is played as a joke, but that is a, like, to address that in a superhero movie, you didn't need to do that. And people are going to say it's me reading way too much into it. That's the point of this video, is that superhero movies have subtext. They're not just for entertainment. Right? And you're stupid if you say that. So Ant-Man's a weird case for me. Ant-Man is going to go, boom, right here into left-leaning, I believe. Ant-Man is left-leaning. I think Ant-Man is definitely left-leaning. He's not a woke movie at all. But it has elements. It has notions of wokey. Who else we got? Who else we got on the list? Ant-Man and the Wasp. Haven't seen it. Ant-Man. Alright, while we're here, we can also deal with this one. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Have not seen it. I watched this movie once. Fucking years ago. And I do not remember a single thing about it. I don't remember that movie at all. Haven't seen it for all intensive purposes. Controversiality time. We have our first anti-woke movie. With anti-woke things in it. And that's Doctor Strange. Ooh, Doctor Strange is a very Orientalist movie. Very Orientalist movie. And the fact that it came out so far after Iron Man 3, a whole movie about how Orientalism is bad, doesn't look good. So Doctor Strange is a weird case for me. Doctor Strange is boring. It's very boring. But it's very much a anti-woke movie. It's like a white savior kind of Doctor Strange. Oh, Western medicine has failed him, so he has to go seek out the mystic and the unnatural in South Asia. And no one could beat Dormammu, not even the Ancient One and all of these South and East Asian sorceresses. But Doctor Strange can do it. The Sorcerer Supreme, the white guy, is better at it because he knows science. The theming of Doctor Strange being better at magic because he comes from a place that is like more developed and his learning method is more developed because he sort of combines the two. That I don't like in the movie. And like the fact that like he's the only one that can beat Dormammu because like he comes up with a plan, despite like not actually being a student of Camotage for that long. That's stupid. That's stupid. I think like what I think would have been better to happen is he gets told the plan. Like Wong comes up with a plan, right? And then he goes, well, someone has to do it to sacrifice their life. And Doctor Strange learns responsibility and goes and does it. The fact that, like, he came up with a plan, and, you know, because of his, like, more developed, like, Western learning method or whatever. This is the first movie that gets anti-woke from me, bro. Doctor Strange is anti-woke, confirmed. Cancel Doctor Strange. Don't read that shit, bro. There you go. Orientalist as fuck movie, not gonna lie. And I think that's the only one of his before MCU. Yeah, good. Okay, jumping back a little bit. Thor Ragnarok. Oh, what the fuck happens in that movie? Thor Ragnarok's going in bland, I think. I'm trying to remember, like, what actual theming there is. Hold on. Okay, holy fuck. I'm actually, like, mega wrong, it seems. And apparently the entire film is, like, super shot through, like, a post-colonial lens. And oh, yeah, because Asgard was built on them, like, fucking killing a bunch of people. Yeah, okay. Alright, so, upon review, turns out Thor Ragnarok's woke as fuck, actually. It's, very post-colonial. It has a person from New Zealand in it, which is incredibly progressive. So we're gonna chuck Thor Ragnarok right up there in, I think, Hillary Clinton tier. I think Hillary Clinton tier, definitely. That goes in Hillary Clinton tier without a doubt. You know? Because, yeah, they definitely, damn, fuck, I didn't realize, they definitely, like, did actually talk about that shit. I think that it gets undercut a little bit. Because the message of the movie is, I guess, a nationalist, like, message, because it's Asgard as a people and the, Hobsbawm's idea of the invented tradition, that it's not actually relegate to a place, but, a set of ideals and stuff that you, Hobsbawm was, yeah, he was invented tradition. Anderson, Imagine Community, Hobsbawm invented tradition. I'll put a note down below if I'm an idiot about that. But either way, it's the idea that these people are linked together by an intrinsic recognition of the fact that they're from a nation rather than the actual landmass itself. And, you know, there's no touching on the idea of how print capitalism links these people, but, you know, it's in the movie, right? So I think that is a sort of interesting parallel, which is going to land in Hillary Clinton tier. All right, our last two single properties. Spider-Man: Homecoming, immediately bland. I don't remember anything in that. Pro porn. That movie's pro porn. It has the CEO of sex in there. So you gotta, you know, keep that in consideration. But no, there's nothing that really happens in that movie. We could, I've just realized we could play this game for every movie about how diverse the cast is, but I largely haven't touched on that because, I largely haven't touched on that because that's not actually woke, right? I'm talking, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to add this to the woke definition. That's not actually woke! That's not woke! Having black people in your movie is not woke. Okay. Spider-Man, we could say, is totally woke because there's a Hispanic and a Filipino. Oh, is Zendaya black? There's a black and a Filipino, like, main leads, right? So we could very easily say too diverse casting. But Spider-Man is not actually woke, right? The movie's bland. Ooh, baby! Our last single franchise, Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to start with Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which I would argue a little bit woke. It's anti-imperialist, definitely. I mean, their villain is called Ronan the Accuser, for fuck's sake. And the idea of this found family, as an imagined community of those who share imperialist trauma, from Drax and Gamora especially, the fact that they end up in the same group as a product of Thanos and Ronan's like conquest, I think is a really interesting theme to explore. The movie has Chris Pratt in it, so I have to dock a couple points for that. But I'm gonna put Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'm gonna put Guardians of the Galaxy 1 in liberal leaning. It's liberal leaning. It's pretty liberal leaning. Guardians 2. Yeah, again, there's not like a whole lot. I guess Ego can be read as the deconstruction of that sort of alpha mentality and that toxic masculinity. That can be definitely read as like a semi-woke theme. But again, I think that's more of a character moment rather than a thematic moment about Quill's mother, etc., etc. Again, it has the same themes of found family. I think anticlimactically rather, I think we're going to end this off, because I'm not touching the fucking Avengers movies yet. But I think we're going to end this off with this going in the same tier of bland. So there you go. These ones up here, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man 3, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, are the wokest of all. In terms of the definition of woke that we're talking about, Captain Marvel could actually be moved down a tier, being real. Then there is the Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I agree with this. I think this is pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which Marvel movie is the most racist? Put it in the comments below. Let me know. And read my blog. That's number one. Read my blog.